All right, we are live. What's up, CryoClientFinders? Salim Jamari here, and this is our first live Q&A. So I'm gonna wait a few minutes here, see if anybody's gonna come up. Hey, Sean, how's it going, man? Welcome to the Q&A. First live Q&A of the group. All right, so as you guys know, this live Q&A is usually what I had in mind is basically just get on here and answer any questions that you guys may have. Since this is a brand new group, we don't have that many members yet, but I've collected some questions from different business owners, and I'm going to be answering those questions during this live in case not that many members come, and also so you guys can see them where you come back to the live. So without further ado, let's get started. So the main question that I see and that I get a lot is, where should I advertise my cryotherapy services? We all know that there's so many platforms nowadays, with the rise of social media, and there is basically YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. The ladies love Pinterest as well, and there's a professional LinkedIn, and it gets a little bit overwhelming at sometimes, But what I want to share with you guys today is the platform isn't really what matters the most. Really, what matters is how to structure the advertising campaign. And what I mean by that is you want to have a compelling offer. That's the most important thing, is not where you advertise, is more like what are you advertising. Okay, so that's the first thing. When you have a solid what, meaning you have a great offer, then you can move on to the next step, which is who. And what I mean by who is the audience. Okay, the audience that's going to be seeing that message. And for local businesses, most of the time they use their Facebook page and they advertise to people who liked their Facebook page. And sometimes people are traveling, they come to your page, they like it, they check you out, but they go back to where they live. And sometimes, those people live outside of a reasonable driving distance. So the most important thing you want to keep in mind is, who am I going to show this message to? Because you want to show your advertising to people who are most likely going to be interested in cryotherapy services. And so you want to kind of nail down the profile of the ideal audience. And also, you don't want to show your messages to people who are living out of state, or within a whole hour drive from your facility, because that would just be waste of money. Because keep in mind that when you advertise online, you basically pay per click. That's what we call PPC. I'm sure some of you have heard of this before, but for every single click, you pay money to the platform that you are using. So whether that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or whatever the case may be, you are paying per click, and you are paying per impression, meaning you show that message to someone. If the person sees the message, then you are wasting money. So we don't want to show the message to someone who is less likely to buy or to be interested in cryotherapy services. Just like you don't want to show someone who's in the market to buy a Chevy, for example. You don't want to show him an advertisement for a Tesla, or vice versa. You want to nail down your offer, which is what. You want to nail down the who, meaning the person who's going to be most likely going to purchase. And then once you have these two nailed down, then you pick the platform accordingly. What I mean by accordingly is the platform is just a vehicle to put the message in front of people. It doesn't have any magic trick. It doesn't really create any type of hype for you. It doesn't create anything. You want to have a compelling offer. You want to be sure, who am I going to show this message to? And once you have that nailed down, then you leverage the platform's data to put the message in front of people. Now, each platform has its pros and cons depending on how do you want to put that message in front of people. And let's start up with YouTube, for example. YouTube is a great platform to advertise on if you have great video content, okay? If you have a good video content and you want to advertise on YouTube, then, if you have great content and you want to advertise, then you go for YouTube. Hey, Beth. Welcome to the first live Q&A. We're just talking about what is the best platform to use for advertising, and I was just going over the framework in general. So now, once we have nailed down the what, meaning our compelling offer, and then the who, meaning who are we going to show this message to, now we are on the where, which is what kind of platform am I going to use. And we all know that they're all going to be helpful, but it depends on what kind of content do you have and who's your ideal audience. Where are those people hanging out? So if we want to target, for example, let's say, young, athletes or young college students, they are most likely going to be either on Instagram or on YouTube, right? So we pick our platform based on that. But a great rule of thumb to have is to go for Facebook and Instagram at the same time, because they're owned by Facebook. And also because Facebook has a great back end, kind of like a Facebook for Business, that give you access to all the data that you want. So let's say you have a compelling offer, number one, and you have a great profile of your ideal customer, okay? In previous campaigns, we've tested several offers in different markets, and for cryotherapy owners of cryotherapy businesses, we find that male, female, age 25 or 24 to 64, who have an interest in cryotherapy and who are located within a reasonable driving distance from your facility, those are the people who are most likely going to be interested in cryotherapy services. So now that we have that information, we kind of go on Facebook and we pick these details. We tell Facebook that I want to show my compelling offer with my messaging to male and female people who are their age from 24 to 64, and they are located within a reasonable driving distance. Now, once we have that, then we can put our advertising campaign to work, because at the end of the day, it's not the platform, it's more like the what, the offer, and the who. Once you have those, then you move to the platform, and then you pick the platform accordingly. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense, if you have any questions, if you have tried Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, whatever the case may be. Before we move on to the next question here, any questions? All right, so let me summarize this first one really quick. So what's the best platform to use for advertising? Should I advertise on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or where? Well, before we dive deep into that, like I mentioned, it's not about the platform, it's more like your offer and who you're going to show it to. So before you think about advertising at all, and before you go and jump into any platform and start wasting money, make sure that your offer is compelling, and take some time to identify who is your ideal client. Once you have those two, then you can leverage the platform to extract that data that you have, and then you can publish your advertising campaign with lesser risk to, put money down the drain. All right, so that's number one. A lot of another question that I get a lot and that I see people, struggle with is, how can I increase my client retention rate? Meaning, let's say, you have a great, email list, or you have a database with a bunch of clients, but some of them, they just don't, buy from you again. They buy the first time, and then you just kind of like slow down a little bit. Or if you have collected a lot of leads in one of your successful campaigns, and you have about 60% or 65% who came, and then you have about 35% of those people that, either never showed up or they showed interest, and then even though you followed up with them, or even though you sent them emails and you reminded them to come in, they still kind of ghost us, right? We all been there at some point. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a way of changing people's perspective about how they feel before and how they would feel after, especially in the cryotherapy business, because it is kind of like you don't get the pleasure of it right away. You have to do it first, and then you realize how beneficial it is for you, and then chances are you're going to come more often. But if you haven't tried it in the first place, how can you, come more and more? So the question is, how can I bring them to the door even if they showed interest and never showed up to begin with, right? That's a question that I get a lot. And the answer to that is email marketing. And what I mean by that is not sending emails to tell them, hey, you forgot to redeem your voucher, come see us. While that is a good strategy to work when someone just showed interest, it's great to send them about 2 or 3 emails right after that to remind them to come. But then there is a whole other strategy for email marketing that increase retention by 20 to 45%. And that's what studies have shown. And I'm going to share that with you in this live today. So let's just circle back a little bit. Every single cryotherapy owner, before they opened their business, they had certain motivation. They had a certain drive. They had a certain vision, right? And they use that motivation, that vision, to transform people's lives, to add value to their life, to help them. And that's what really drives them until they open the business, and then they start getting business and they go into their lives. But throughout the time, they forget to remind their potential clients of those moments. And what I'm here to tell you today is, you have to break down the whole process that you've been through before you open that cryotherapy business. You have to break it down into what we call a soap opera sequence. Let me say that again, a soap opera sequence. And that is a series of emails that you send on, for example, about 14 days. And each day, the goal is to have them open the email and learn about a small part of your story, your team members' stories, your business partner's story, related to the cryotherapy business that you started. For example, first email would be, welcome to the, let's say Express Cryo's email list. My name is Sean. My business partner is Locke, and we are starting this business. And then you kind of like share with them a little bit of why you started, but you don't give it all in the first email. You just give them a little bit of why you started, the vision, the mission, and whatnot. And then you tell them to look for the next email where you're going to be sharing, some other stories. And basically what we are doing here is you are building trust. You are basically bringing those people into your, you share with them your story. You kind of like build the know, like, and trust factor. That is called the KLT format. So people usually, they have no idea of why you started the business, what was your motivation, And basically what they want to see is they want to see the journey. Okay, they want to see, who did you get your cryo saunas from? How was that process? And you can share this story, like this little steps of your journey, in like small emails. And every like 3 or 4 emails you send out, the 5th one or the 4th one has to be an offer. So let's say the first week you have the story why you started, and at the end of that week you're going to have a call to action that says, by the way, we are still having that promotion, whatever the case that promotion can be. If you want to take advantage of that, here it is. Okay. And then the second week, it would be the same thing, about 4 or 5 emails, just like value and sharing your story and telling them the adversity that you've gone through. Maybe you've had a bad experience with, a manufacturer or somebody who, was going to help you with the leasing office and then didn't work out. All these little things, they matter a lot to your prospect, because you kind of bridge that gap between a stranger and a potential client. And the goal is to bridge that gap through these stories. You want to tell them the adversities that you overcame. You want to tell them, all the sacrifices that you made. And while this sounds a little bit overwhelming, it has a term in the online marketing world, and that is the soap opera sequence. And, I'm happy to share with you guys a little bit more about that, but it's just a little bit more in detail, so that we can probably leave it for some other time, and I can put together, the framework with like what you should say on the subject line, what you should say on the introduction, what you should say on the body, and then what your conclusion should be, so they are looking forward to that next email. Because think about it, when you open up your inbox, your Gmail or whatever, there is so many emails that we get all day. So you want to have that curiosity, and you want to build that, hype, like we say, so people are interested in opening your next email. So there's all of these kind of strategies that you use, and you put them there so they can actually get close to you. And when you apply this strategy properly, people are dying to see what your next email, because you're not telling the whole story on that email. You just give them a little hook, you give them a little story there, and then you introduce the next step, and you tell them, oh my gosh, I can't tell you what happened when I tried to do X, Y, and Z. I will tell you on the next email, so look forward for that. And then you kind of build that trust just like that. Throughout 4 or 5 emails, at the end of that first week, you make that offer. And believe it or not, it works like magic, because once you share those stories, people can relate to that. Even if they're not cryotherapy owners, they are probably business owners, or they know somebody who has a business. Whatever the case may be, the more transparent, the more you share your journey, how it is, the more you build trust, and the higher chances for them to come in. And so, also a big thing to share with them is your sacrifices. What did you sacrifice to open that business? What are the things that you've gone through? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure, a lot of business owners, that's like we are, when we go through building a business, there's a lot of sacrifices that we make. This is one of the common things that all entrepreneurs or business owners have, which is they sacrifice, whether their time with their families, they sacrifice their leisure, or they sacrifice their fun time. They don't go out as much anymore. They don't drink anymore. They sacrifice even like their sleep sometimes. They grind on the day job, and then they go back at night, and then they work. All these things matter a lot to our prospects. So sacrifice, adversity, story of your journey of opening your business, and you package that into like small pieces throughout the email marketing strategy. And that is how you increase retention for your potential clients and prospects who kind of didn't take action. And this strategy also worked for people who came in the first time and then just left and then forgot about the business, or they never came in again, or they couldn't get the membership, or whatever the case may be. This is the best way to increase retention. And obviously, you don't do this through Gmail. There are softwares, there are tools that you can leverage, and this is easy to learn. if you give a little bit of time, just like if you are able to open a business, you're going to be able to learn these things as well. And you don't have to do it yourself. You can train your employees, or you can even bring in an intern, and if you have the tools in your hands and you have the skill sets and you have the trainings, you can bring an intern, whatever your local area is. You put an ad on Craigslist for freshmen, college students, bring him as a marketing intern, and you give him the execution guide. You give him what he needs to do, and you are the delegator. You kind of delegate the work and you show them what to do. And so once you have that strategy in place, you can increase your client retention. Does that make sense, guys? Sean, Bev, how is this? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat before I move on to the next questions. Do you guys have any questions here, or anything that you want me to clarify more? Just let me know in the chat below, and I'll take a little pause here and go over that. All right. So I'm just going to be moving on to the next question. So the next question is, what are the reasons prospects don't move forward? So basically, this is more like a general, psychology-based question, pretty much, and it was brought to me by one of the local business owners here that we just struck a conversation the other day. And he said something really important, and I kind of give it some thoughts, and I thought I would share it with you guys here too. So basically, when you are talking to a potential client or a prospect or someone who came through the door, or showed interest through a campaign and then they never actually took action, along the lines of email marketing, which is a strategy that is you can execute on to increase client retention. This is more of like the psychological aspect of why prospects don't move forward. And basically, there are 5 main pillars that prospects don't move forward. And those are, number 1, money, right? Just they think that it's not worth the money. And number 2 is time. Number 3 is the need. Number 4 is urgency, and number 5 is trust. So I'm going to go through each one of them and kind of give you my side of things and how I think we can tackle these psychological barriers, if you want, right? So the first one is money, and we all know that if you think that something is not worth it, it's because it doesn't have as much value, right? And we are in the health and wellness industry. And the first thing that comes to mind is your health is priceless, right? Your health and wellness is the most valuable thing that you can invest on. I think that kind of like second nature a little bit, but a lot of times people don't see the value on the thing they will get if they haven't tried it yet. So the best way to tackle this barrier is to actually build value around that service. And to build value around that service is by educating and by listening to their problems and what changes they want to make, and recommending a service according to what they need. Instead of telling them what your business is about, ask them what your health goals are. Make it about the prospect, make it about them, and then build value around the pains that they are experiencing. So the price is not even a question. It becomes something that has so much value to the point where they just like a no-brainer. I'm gonna get this because I want to invest in my health, and you explain to me exactly how it's gonna help, and after that, the chances are they're gonna move forward. So that's the first one. That's money. Number 2 is time. And because we are in the health and wellness business, a lot of time people want to move away from pain, and time, it's the most valuable asset that we all have. And sometimes people just need to be reminded that you got to make time for your health, and it doesn't have to be cryotherapy right away. You can just tackle the bigger picture and see what are their routines in terms of taking care of themselves and how much time they allocate to that. That would give you an idea of what kind of prospect are you dealing with. Are you dealing with a prospect who values their time for sleep, who they value their time to eat, they value their time to exercise? And when you go through these pillars first, it will show you what kind of prospect it is and whether they're going to be making time for their health or not. And usually it's good to kind of like brush it out from the bigger picture, and then you walk them through those questions to find out what kind of prospects they are. And once you find out what kind of prospect they are, then you circle back to the change they want to make, and then you recommend your service that is going to be most valuable for them. But before you understand what kind of relationship your prospect has with time, it's kind of hard to break that time barrier if a prospect don't want to move forward, right? So that's for number 2. Number 3 is the need. Do I need this or do I not? Well, thanks to our industry, which is health and wellness, I think this is an obvious answer, right? Like, nothing is going to be worth it in life if you're not healthy and you don't take care of your body and mind. If you're not in your optimal state, if you're not the best version of yourself, meaning you're healthy, you feel great, you exercise, and if you do those things, automatically recovery and staying well comes into place. So the need is almost the same as the time. Like, how bad do you need it, or how bad do you want it? It's not about if you want it. It's more like, yes, I need this because I believe in the power of taking care of myself. And so that's when, you want to qualify them and you want to make sure that they are ready for that. And it gives a lot of trust for your prospect as well. Instead of just telling them, yes, you're going to need this and this and that, we have all these services and cryo things. No, make it all about the prospect and see if they actually see the value first. And if they don't, then they have a bigger problem to care about. And you are the psychologist for a little bit, if you will. You kind of like categorize your prospect based on whether they have that understanding first. Because if you have someone who eats unhealthy the whole week, doesn't even exercise, barely go to the gym, one day he got sore and he wants to do cryotherapy, it's great, right? We want business, bring them in. But keep in mind that that person, if you want them to come back and you want them to move forward with a membership or anything like that, you want to dig a little deeper. You want to ask questions about their, lifestyle, what they do, and then always package or always put cryotherapy as a part of a whole lifestyle, because once you do that, it doesn't become a commodity anymore. Okay, it becomes a part of their life. That's how it helped me a lot, and that's how I included it in my lifestyle as well. Before I've heard about it, I didn't really understand it that much. I tried it and I went away from it. But then once I understood how you can incorporate it in your lifestyle, then it became valuable. And now I go, regularly, and it's amazing. So make sure that you want to see the need first by identifying how do they live their lifestyle. Are they healthy? Do they take care of themselves? And if that's happening, then you include cryotherapy as a part of their lifestyle. But if they're not, then you want to definitely recommend cryotherapy, definitely tell them about all the benefits, definitely make that sale, definitely have them try it. But you want to be the educator. You want to show them and communicate to them how, if they do changes on different areas of their life, they're going to maximize the benefits of cryotherapy. And that also builds trust with your prospects, because you can tell that it doesn't really matter. I mean, you don't really care only about making your sale. You don't really care about just delivering your service, but you also care about your prospects. You take it a little bit deeper. And a lot of people don't do that, but if you take time to actually understand what do they do, what's their lifestyle, then you recommend the cryo service as a part of the whole. changes. It's a lot more valuable. So that's for the need. And now we're going to talk about urgency. People think sometimes, what happens if you don't do it now? Like, this is what you have to be thinking about. When they're like, oh, I'll do it in 2 weeks, I'll do it then. When people put things out, like if they don't take action now and they're just going to put it out, myself included, it's because I don't see the value in it. Just like the money situation, I don't see the value of doing it, but I don't see the value of doing it now. And the best way to tackle this psychological barrier is to pretty much talk to them about the pain that they would go through if they don't take action now. You want to kind of uncover those pains, by asking questions about their lifestyle again, whether they work out or not, what is costing them right now. If they come in with chronic pain, if they come in with inflammation, that was my case. It was me. I had like inflammation and chronic pain a little bit due to my past surgeries that I had on my knees. And I would put it out because I didn't see how it would help me. But, if you think about it, once you think about the pain that you go through every day, and you kind of like dig deeper again on like, what is it costing you? Maybe it's costing you to sleep not as good. Maybe it's costing you not to work out as much. Maybe it's costing you your level of dopamine because you're not exercising as much, or your endorphins. And there are a lot of things that could go. There are a lot of pains that comes with the fact that you don't get healthy and you don't take care of your health and wellness, right? So urgency, I like to categorize it with inflicting pain. And it's always good to uncover those pains as well with your prospect. And again, just like the post I did yesterday, that question is really, really powerful. What kind of change do you want to make? And just by asking that, your prospects are opening up to you and they're showing you their pains, they're showing you the changes they want to make, and then you're taking notes mentally on how are they doing that. And then when there's a barrier that comes, when there's somebody that tells you, yeah, I'm going to do it in 2 weeks, and after they told you the change they want to make, then you just circle it back to them. Hey guys, remember the pain that you've been through? Like, do you want to suffer again from this and this and that? Like don't you want to improve your sleep? So this is kind of like how to deal with that urgency problem. And I highly recommend having a spreadsheet or some sort of note taking when you talk to people on the phone, because it's hard to remember everybody's stories. But once you have a system that works with key terms, and you kind of put them in a category of like, okay, this is the pain of this person, this is the psychological barrier of this prospect. So when you kind of call back and you want to follow up, you don't just go blind into, hey, are you still gonna come? Or hey, are you still interested in a cryo service? You connect on a personal level with them. Be like, hey, this is bad. I remember we had a conversation regarding your pains or regarding your change that you want to make, and that shows, and it speaks volumes about how much you care about them. And I cannot stress enough, prospects, they're just like humans, just like us. Humans care. If humans care about other humans, there's this sympathy, there's this connection that happens. So you want to have that kind of spreadsheet or a system that kind of reminds you of what kind of prospect, what kind of problems they have, what the psychological barrier is. And so when you follow up, you don't go straight to the point, you bring it up through there, and then you see what kind of objections, if you will, they would give you. And then from there, you respond to the objection, whether it's money or time, or they don't need it right now, or the urgency, or whatever the case may be. You already know how to tackle it. So that's pretty much how you deal with the urgency. And then trust is one of the things that happens a lot, but for local businesses, a lot of times it's not a big of a problem, because they can also go and check it out for themselves. It's not like an online thing, people are more likely to trust you guys because you have a brick and mortar business and you are there all the time. So it also, it's less likely for them to not move forward because of trust. But also, you never know. Even brick and mortar businesses, sometimes people have bad experiences. So what you want to do is, of course, have reviews and testimonials, and we include these in the email marketing strategy. Every other email you kind of, or with the offer email, you show them a little bit of reviews and testimonials, and that's how you build trust with your prospects. And these are the 5 reasons why prospects don't move forward. Any questions, guys? Anything that you want me to clarify, or any comments, any thoughts? Please share them in the comment below. I'll be happy to answer more questions if you have. So just let me know. I'm still gonna hang out here for a few minutes, and I probably go over the just do like a quick summary of what we've talked about today before I get off the live. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything, please let me know. All right, well, not too bad for our first live. We went for about 35 minutes and we only talked about 3 questions. So the first one was the platform to advertise on. And before we think about the platform, what we said was you want to focus on your offer and who you're going to show that offer to. And then once you have those 2 nailed down, then you move into the platform where you decide what kind of vehicle should I use to put my message in front of my ideal audience. Okay, that was number 1. Number 2, we talked about how can I increase client retention. And the answer to that was email marketing strategies, and not any kind of email, not just sending promotional offers, not just sending emails. We talked about telling stories about your motivation behind starting the business, why you started in the first place, the adversity you overcame, and the sacrifices you had to go through to make this happen. And that's what we sequence in small emails, and then every 3-4 emails you put an offer, and boom, that's how you increase client retention. Lastly, we talked about the reasons prospects don't move forward, and this is more like a psychological principle or a psychological strategy. And we talked about money, time, need, urgency, and trust. So these are the 5 reasons most prospects don't move forward, and these are the psychological barriers they have. So you want to kind of, either yourself or your employee, you always want to remind them how to build value around money objections, how to create urgency in time because of the health and wellness, and also the need, meaning you want to qualify, you want to ask those questions, you want to dig deeper a little bit to see how that needs and how it fits in the lifestyle of cryotherapy. And of course, urgency. What happens if they don't do it now? What happens to their pain that they told you? What happens to the changes they want to make? Do they want to drag that pain throughout their next 2 weeks again? Do they want to sleep bad for another 2 weeks, or do they want to get fast results and get going? Because when you are dragging pain, there are so many areas of your life that get affected, that you really just need to dig a little bit deeper, and just show some care about your prospect, talk to them about their life, ask questions. And lastly, we talked about the trust, and trust usually with brick and mortar businesses is not as bad. I'm sure most businesses will stay in business. They're trustworthy and they have great reviews and testimonials, and that's what you want to leverage and show. And also, if somebody shows a little bit of like distrust signs, then you have to send them to your website where you have a bunch of reviews, or you have to share with them a story. And it's also great to include that in your email marketing strategy. And I think we're getting close to the end of this live. Thank you for tuning in for this live Q&A. Sean, thank you for tuning in. Beth, thank you for tuning in. If you guys find value on this live stream, please share with your friend, share with your other cryotherapy owners. If you know people who are interested in being part of this Facebook group, it's still small now, but I am confident that this thing's going to be big, and I'm working on a big project as well, so we can bring value to cryotherapy owners as a whole and empower them as business owners so they can get their marketing in-house and stop relying on month over month retainers from all kind of people who claim sometimes that they're going to give you customers, or they claim that they're going to get you leads. They claim that marketing agencies claim that we're going to get you comments and likes and shares and impressions. But while that it's okay, but we don't want none of that. We want how to find strangers who are interested in cryotherapy owners and how to turn those strangers into paying clients. That's it, as simple as that. What up, Tram? You came about to the end of the live. So, that's what we care about. And like I was saying, I'm working on a big project, and hopefully we can bring it and empower cryotherapy owners, and so they can bring their marketing in-house and stop relying on people month over month. Once you own the marketing skill sets, you own the tools, the resources, everything, then it becomes easy for you to scale your margins. You don't have to share your margins with Groupon, and you don't have to pay anybody month over month, and that eats up on your margin. And you can scale faster by bringing an intern. Like I mentioned earlier, you bring on an intern from first or freshman in college. Yes, Tram, definitely, man. It's gonna be live on the group. You can watch it all, and I highly encourage you to leave me your comments too here. That way, if I didn't get a chance to answer some of the questions you had, I can definitely go ahead and answer them for you on the next live. So, yep, definitely, you can definitely watch it, Tram. And so, yeah, like I was saying, you bring on the intern. It doesn't cost you much. He wins because you are providing them with an actual experience, hands-on experience, rather than just them sitting in a class listening to old, outdated marketing material. You bring them in with an actual hands-on execution plan, and you don't, it doesn't cost you much, just a little bit of leadership, a little bit of delegation. And then from there, you own the marketing resources. This is what I'm working hard on. And like I was saying, if this group is small now, I am confident that it's going to grow, and we're going to impact a lot of cryotherapy owners, just because you guys are making a huge impact, and you deserve to, scale your businesses at your own term without relying on anybody. So, this is it. We're coming close to the end. Like I was saying, if you can share this group with other cryotherapy owners, or you can invite them and bring this community close together, because like I said, this is the CryoClientFinders community. You guys, if you stick with me in the next year, you're gonna become a client acquisition expert, and no need for relying on unethical marketing agencies or people who promise you the world and under deliver. I worked with Sean here, he's on our live, and we got him, about 40 clients in less than 14 days. He only spent about $275 in advertising budget, right, Sean? About $275, and he got a little bit over $3,000 in sales. And so, he could easily pay someone to do the exact same result, but why would he pay $1,000 or $1,500 every month and only profiting $1,500, where he can literally learn or just have the tools and marketing resources and videos in his hand, and then bring on an intern or have a business partner or an employee implement those strategies? And this is what I'm working on really, really hard. And this is my goal for this year, is to build an online product for you guys, so you can actually take it and have it for you as your marketing asset. And hopefully, by the second half of the year, I'll partner up with US Cryo, or wherever, the leading manufacturer of cryo saunas and cryo chambers. And those people, when they sell a business in a box, or when they kind of sell the material to cryotherapy owners, they forget about how to attract your ideal clients, right? They tell you, yes, we're going to come and train you how to sell this and sell that and whatnot. But that doesn't really do any change. I'm sure most of business owners who are interested in opening their own business, they're also salespeople. They know how to sell. Once they get the hang of things, they're going to connect with people, they're going to sell. But the marketing, there's a huge void in the industry right now. And if we can get these tools and resources in the hand of cryotherapy owners, I think that the growth is going to be like exponential. And I highly believe in this, and I can't wait to share with you guys more about the product. Just stay tuned with that. And what do we got here? Yeah, Tram. The next one is going to be next Saturday, same time, 12 p.m. next Saturday. But you can always post your comments or questions in the group. This group, it's for us to collaborate. I check it almost every day. I'm always available to you guys. Take advantage of me while this group is small, while we have this convivial kind of atmosphere here, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions. And it's really good to have them while I'm live so other people can learn. But we all get busy, and I totally understand. So shoot me a message with your question, Tram, if you have it before the next live. If not, keep them until the next, and we'll definitely go over that as well. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in, and invite people. Let's get this community together so we can impact more people about their health and wellness. And that way it's a win-win-win for everybody. And yeah, I'm about to get off. Any questions, guys, before I take off here? Tram, Beth, Sean, any questions here before I take off? All right, guys. Thank you so much, and have a great Saturday, and enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.